Yeah, yo. Yeah, this is Oriental from Endless Productions. You know what I mean? And oh, me I do this to the basically me I do it like, you know what I mean, a DVD commentary style tutorial. You know what I mean? The first basically, you know what I mean, I'm going to be bringing up 3D models and describing, you know what I mean, the feeling and the emotional tonality behind, you know what I mean, me doing all these, you know what I mean. So everybody locked into the journey, you know what I mean, listen up, tighten your seatbelts and, you know what I mean, get ready for the ride. um so for those of you, you know what I mean, that back in the day, coming up, y'all cinema files and stuff, you know what I mean, I'm doing my thing right here. I'm doing it like, you know what I mean, like a DJ basically. You know what I mean? You can call me the ZBrush fucking DJ. You know what I mean? I'll be doing this in fine style, fine tune. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? In later on in this month, December coming up, I'll be revisiting my blade sculpts. Although I'm giving you like some highlights now, I'll be filling in and doing some detail on some already done sculpts and be doing some new one like the Enrico Man of Steel, you know what I mean? The Green Hulk, the Red Hulk, yeah, and the Arnold Schwarzenegger one. You know what I mean? I'll be retouching a lot of work and be doing a lot of new ones, and we jump right into it now. So this is my Chadwick Boseman Black Panther. Um, you know what I mean? Look-alike. You know what I mean? Sculpted was sculpted on the day, nah, not on the exact day. After Chadwick passed away in 2020, I was going to do like a tribute sculpting, but I only built the model. Now, I mean, I still have the video footage back in 2020 when I was doing it, but I didn't get to release it on YouTube. It's been in my archives of stuff. You know what I mean? I've done a lot of, you know what I mean, 3D sculpt, movie characters, you know what I mean, in my spare time when I'm not working otherwise, which would be, you know what I mean, basically overall graphics and, you know what I mean, a lot of things that got to do with artwork. I'll be doing a lot of that, a lot of traditional artwork, you know what I mean. In this medium, I shine in overall, artwork. You know what I mean? I've been doing it for a good long time now. This what I'm doing right now is no real production. It's not a real production value. Basically, it's like a labor of love, but you know, sculpting stuff in ZBrush and modeling it for, you know, these can be used as video game ready meshes. Yeah, these meshes that I do, and the ones that, you know what I mean, while I was looking for meshes for, you know what I mean, I wanted to recreate a cinematic that was that I saw in the new movie coming up. Very controversial about that movie because people are complaining about the reshoots and all of that. I oftentimes wonder if it's all about the reshoots or they just didn't like it that, you know what I mean, it wasn't the original Captain America that they were seeing. They were seeing the actor Anthony Mackie, and I think quite honestly, you know what I mean, you would make a great Captain America. You know what I mean, given the chance, you know what I mean, that later down they're gonna eventually bring back Steve Rogers. I just feel like that's just the trope in movies now. You know what I mean? To kill off a character and bring them back because originally, you know what I mean, Chris Evans uh, isn't dead in real life. He's pretty much still alive. You know what I mean? But Chadwick Boseman on the other hand, he truly passed away. You know what I mean? And the thing that I don't understand is, you know what I mean, they could change the dude who played Thunderbolt Ross before. You know, they changed and they hired Harrison Ford to come in that new into the franchise as, you know what I mean, Thunderbolt Ross. He wasn't the original Thunderbolt Ross. I wonder if people noticed that they changed that character. They recasted after the original actor that played Thunderbolt Ross died. I think his name was Ray Fiennes. He came in a lot of fucking movies, man. He came in like, if my memory strikes me correctly, I say he came in Dark City back in 1998. I remember seeing him in that, and I remember seeing him in A History of Violence and a few other movies. Probably what you could do, you know what I mean? You could, like, the people that are familiar, y'all could just go and like check out the dude's IMDb page, you know what I mean, to find out, you know, all the movies that they came in. You know, it's a pretty accurate thing. It shows you all the movies that people, they're like these people's movies, histories, everything. You know what I mean? It's basically an informative site. And it informs on Rotten Tomatoes and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? I think about now the model that we're gonna go into right about now would be the Wesley Snipes Blade model. Another actor that was supposed to, you know what I mean, be Black Panther in the 90s, but didn't get a chance. I think based off my history, I said he landed Blade after not landing the role in the Black Panther movie, you know what I mean, of the 90s that we were working on. Yeah, Marvel has always been very meticulous in how they cast people. I think how I learned all this was from the original Blade special edition DVD that I bought. You know what I mean? Back in the year 2000. I remember buying it the year 2000 in a shop that sold, you know what I mean, DVD. You know what I mean? It was original. It wasn't after it wasn't yeah, it was back in the day back then, you know what I mean, it was when they used to sell the original DVDs, you know what I mean, with the commentary and all the special features and stuff. And I remember buying Daredevil as well and a bunch of other, you know what I mean, back in the day movies like, you know what I mean, when Hellboy came out, all the Matrix stuff, and I got all those on DVDs and well, now I don't really collect DVDs or Blu-rays anymore. You know what I mean? It's kind of a thing of the past, you know what I mean? Like a lot of countries, you know what I mean? People still sell them, you know what I mean? And even like the bootleg stuff, A lot of people out there doing a lot of bootleg DVDs and stuff, but they don't have, all the special behind the scenes and all the commentaries and stuff like that. I think I basically learned everything I know from watching those early DVD commentaries. All of what to use. I remember in Blade 2, because in Blade 2, when they were doing production on Blade 2, and on the DVD that I have, it goes in depth into the behind the scenes and how the fight scenes got more cartoonish, because they made 3D models of West. They made, I think it was Guillermo del Toro who was doing that Blade 2. The first movie was Stephen Norrington. The third movie is David Goyer. And by the time the third movie came out, David Goyer is not really a great visual director. He's a better screenplay writer than, a director. Everything that he has done, director-wise, has fallen flat. He's a better writer than a director, I believe. I think it's like the same curse that the Underworld movies came out around the same time that you have in the Blade movies came out, and when it reached to like the third Underworld installment, the original director wasn't doing it anymore. He just directed the first two movies, which I think are the better of that series. And a different topic for a different time, probably, when I'm doing a werewolf sculpt or something, I could probably bring that up. Anyway, what I can say about this is, I try to capture as much as the essence of the character in terms of how he looks. I think he closely resembles West. And in a way, I think I made him a lot, bulkier. Because, as well as the movies, I saw the games back in the day. I had a PS2, a PS3 and a PS1, and when the PS2 games came out for Blade 2, I thought they just put, it was a generic game where they just put, a black skin on a 2D model. No, a 3D model. Basically, kind of put like a blade texture skin. It looked very crappy, man. Back in the day, it looked like a low budget Grand Theft Auto, with no real, it wasn't closely related to the movie. It was in a way, but it sucked. And, at the Game Awards, I saw they were debuting the game, a Wesley Snipes. It wasn't a Wesley Snipes game, it was a Marvel Blade game. I think I could recreate, a game in Unreal Engine, like a Blade game that really looked like the movies in terms of how, production. That's like the emotional state that, what's really behind me putting in work for these 3D models. Because if you listen to Wesley Snipes on the DVD commentary when he's talking, you have the DVD commentary in the Blade 2 DVDs, and you have the one with Guillermo and Peter Pescateri, and you have the one with Wesley Snipes and David Goyer before they were called out. And then you have the isolated score, which music is the next thing. The music that you hear in the background is basically, what I do. When I'm not working, I was once, a part of a group, and how should I say, underground rap group. It didn't really take off, People probably desired my artwork a lot more than, my music skills. So I just, incorporated in my work. Now, I've been doing a whole lot of tracks, basically, from 2016 to 2017. My own personal project that I'm working on, it has nothing to do with like really the content that I would put out on YouTube, but I've been working on my own personal video game. It's supposed to be like, the project of all projects, to just like be my debut into that whole world of video games. You know, I've been wanting to do one for the longest time, from '06 and '07, but the work that I did, like, it was artwork, but I wasn't a game developer. I've been trying to tap into that niche for years, but I wasn't really a game developer, But, because I do 3D cinematics, and I've done a lot of music videos for people. Like, basically, it doesn't require much when you're doing music videos out here, because people don't rely on, all the elemental stuff, all the After Effects speed. It's just like it's shot and it's edited, and it's probably lighted, and you're gonna put filters and all that stuff in After Effects, DaVinci Resolve, but it's nothing like, like Marvel movies. It doesn't require a lot of CGI effects, just like After Effects and a little bit of Photoshop, and then, it's off on the road, and that's basically, that's life for me. Apart from that, I do signs, flyers. I don't think people still do business cards. It's pretty old fashioned for people who still do business cards and wedding invitations, stuff like that. I used to edit wedding videos for a living one at a time. It was all about that, So I couldn't get work to pursue, other ambitions, ambitions of directing movies. For one of my biggest inspirations, made me get into this was like, back in the early 2000s, when the first 3D movie like Final Fantasy came out. The boring one, I think it's Spirit, the Spirit Within, or something like that sort. That movie was phenomenal. It was one of like the first 3D movies that was trying to make things look real, like really real, but you could tell that it was fake. I think the best Final Fantasy movie that came out around like '06, I think it was Advanced Children. That one was the best one. It had a closer relationship to the game, and I thought that one was better. Well, basically, those were like things that inspired me to kind of start. You know what I mean? I used to collect the PC magazines and see like stuff in the TV magazines, like the ads, um, the PC gaming would show you like colleges that you could go to learn 2D animation, 3D animation, and you know what I mean, a lot of things. And basically, early back in the day, what we had access to was, you know what I mean, like Cinema 4D, early phases, stuff like that. Um, because, you know what I mean, I started out technically with a 128, you know what I mean, those type of graphics stuff back in 1998. 128, that couldn't do shit. Then later down we got like a 256. You know what I mean? Got two of them SLI could probably play Crisis. You know what I mean, on one of those Alienware PCs that, you know what I mean, I bought back in the day. You know what I mean, after I left high school and started work. Because, you know, I left high school pretty early. I think I left high school around like 16-ish, 16, 17-ish. You know what I mean? I was in the ninth grade and I didn't keep going anywhere because, you know what I mean, high school was just wasting my time with a lot of stuff. It's basically still a waste of time, but I see going on in the news, you know what I mean, these kids today, ain't taking life a lot seriously. This is the Arnold Schwarzenegger sculpt. You know what I mean? I did this before the Blade one. It's supposed to be like the T-800. You know what I mean? Depicting the T-800 from the very first Terminator movie, man. Try to get all that definition. You know what I mean? That Arnold had back in the day. Yeah, that's pretty classic because believe it or not, how he looked in that movie was, you know what I mean, peak Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean? He was coming off, you know what I mean, being a bodybuilder, Mr. Olympian. I think he's 3-time Mr. Olympian. And he wasn't familiar with this man. It's like, that's one of his most iconic roles. What we can't really understand really is why he's like the body guy that inspired everyone to get ripped. All these actors you see working out, Henry Cavill, The Rock, you know what I mean? They all were inspired by him technically, you know what I mean, being how he sculpted his body and brought bodybuilding to the forefront. He was like the most popular bodybuilder of all time. So, you know what I mean, when I first saw that movie, and this man was technically, you know what I mean, they would basically exploit his body in every movie that he was in, straight up to like, you know what I mean, the last, I think it was The Rise of the Machines. That's the last time you saw him at his peak physique. You know what I mean? After The Rise of the Machines, you would never see him come back looking like this. You know what I mean? Just, and all the other sequels that he was in technically was like an insult to how they started to add Terminator logic that, okay, it's a robot, right? You know what I mean? Underneath the robot, there's a metal endoskeleton over real life living flesh. That's the reason why he ages. And we all know the truth that, come on, man. you ain't no robot in real life. You know what I mean? That movie wasn't even supposed to be. I mean, it wasn't really supposed to be like that. You know what I mean? You turned it into a franchise and they just killed it. They're not really, it doesn't really have the essence of what came out in the 80s. Everything that you see on from Judgment Day is basically, you know what I mean, doing it a disjustice. You know what I mean? It's not really capturing the essence of what James Cameron believed in. I think that everyone that saw the movie is copying them. And you don't have a lot of people out there right now that's really original, that could really capture the essence and bring what the true feelings are that we saw in the original, you know what I mean, 1984 Terminator movie. You know what I mean? Everything that they did coming straight up to the 90s to like Salvation. After Salvation, there was Genesis. After Genesis, there was Dark Fate. And then there was an anime, you know what I mean? Terminator Zero that recently comes out that doesn't really touch on anything that has to do with, you know what I mean, the previous stuff. Yeah, but it's all crazy, man. Yeah, you know what I mean? I think these people right now that you see in the industry are just really unoriginal. Everything that they do is a copy of it. They're trying to copy our stuff because if you go back and watch like a different version of the Terminator, like I think they have a special cut of the Terminator where, you know what I mean, after they destroy Judgment Day, after they destroy Arnold and the T-1000, you know what I mean, Sarah lives to become an old woman and says it's an alternate future timeline. John grows up to be an old man and we have kids, and Sarah's an old woman. She's talking and she's like, Michael Jackson is still alive and a lot of shit like that. But that's not really the future that I live in. You know what I mean? In the future that I live in, Michael Jackson died in 2009. And you know what I mean? A lot of people are dead now. Whitney's dead. You know what I mean? Prince is dead. I think David Bowie's dead. George Michael's fucking dead. Yeah, you got a lot of dead celebrities, man. You got celebrities who die every fucking year, man. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Some of these guys get famous overnight, man, and then they're dead, like drug overdose and all that shit, car accident, they'll get shot. Back in the day when Brandon Lee died, and it's funny that I should bring up Brandon Lee because, you know what I mean, in the future, y'all can look out for Brandon Lee, The Crow, Skunk, you know what I mean? I think The Crow was one of my favorite movies back in the day. Tragedy, the events that happened to that on that movie set were tragic, but you know what I mean, the remake that they remade presently, I don't think captures the essence of the 1994 original. And this that you're seeing now is basically, you know what I mean, a model of me. It's weird, huh? I was doing this one for the video game that I'm working on, and you know what I mean, I wanted to make it very dear, you know what I mean, to me personally. I mean, kind of put myself in my own work. It's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? People oftentimes, you know what I mean, put themselves in their work that people can recognize that as them. I was, you know what I mean, doing my video game, and I said, you know, I couldn't find anyone to take on the role of me modeling them to be, you know what I mean, the character that I wanted to depict. And I said it's gonna be like a black lead, so why not model it off my own face, basically. So as you can see, yeah, I mean, if y'all are wondering what that game is, you know what I mean, it's slated. I'm slated to put it out in the year 2025. You know what I mean? I was working on it from 2016 onward, and I 99% finished it around 2019. But you know what I mean? Because a lot of things that happened afterwards, like, you know what I mean, the lockdowns, the pandemic, all the world events, and you know what I mean, a lot of stuff got put back, you know what I mean, put off, and a lot of stuff didn't sell, and I was just waiting for the right time, you know what I mean, to release it. You know what I mean? The thing about it is that I'm trying to get people familiar with my previous stuff on the graphic novel, you know what I mean, the Corpse Maker saga, basically, you know what I mean, I think I have like 5 omnibus buses that I'm supposed to put out alongside the game, you know what I mean, I recently worked on one. Yeah, you can especially pre-order my stuff, you know what I mean, when Endless Productions, all verse, basically my all verse line, because as independent developers, you know what I mean, you can't really compete and put out stuff like, you know what I mean, Marvel, DC, or the video game industry that's so big, and you know what I mean, because alright, I basically use like Unreal Engine to do what I'm doing with like my ZBrush models, and I have like a MetaHuman creator that, you know what I mean, this wasn't done in MetaHuman creator. I did like a similar model in MetaHuman creator that I oftentimes tweak stuff in ZBrush and Maya, Cinema 4D, and all those other 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 softwares. But you know what I mean, as a personal, you know what I mean, as a personal labor of love that I've been doing, I wanted to see it come out to be like, you know what I mean, be right, have the right impact, and you know what I mean, people could understand it, and a good jumping on point, you know what I mean, for my own work, you know what I mean, and my debut into like mainstream doing nothing, I might get some mainstream opportunities because, as I said, I'm an indie at this point. Yeah, but you know what I mean, yeah, there's a lot of optimism that, you know what I mean, my work might get picked up with all that I'm seeing in the industry today. You know what I mean, people are saying that AI is making their jobs obsolete and stuff, and I think we can use AI to improve on our work, you know what I mean, because probably the next 4 to 5 years down the line, You know what I mean? You still have to go in and tweak stuff, but the things that are done by AI, it's not it's not perfect at this point. This is the next model that I did. Next character is like one of my close personal friends. You know what I mean? The sculpting ain't really finished. You know what I mean? He's one of the characters in the game because, believe it or not, it's from an actual storyline. You know what I mean? And a lot of people might say to themselves, you know what I mean, who's this fellow? You know what I mean? You never know unless you're familiar with the author's content. And I don't think people are familiar with the stuff I did on, you know what I mean, my graphic novels, the Folks Maker series. Seeing that, you know what I mean, I'll be relaunching them like later next year to 2025. Yeah, he's one of, you know what I mean, the people in that comic book. My comic book is, how would you describe it? An exaggeration. It's inspired by a lot of things. It's inspired by a lot of 80s tropes, things that were popular in the 80s, like the Terminator franchise, like the cyberpunk essence of the Terminator, the Alien movies, the Predator movies, you know what I mean, and a few other um, stuff in, you know what I mean, the sci-fi genre. You know what I mean? It touches on cyberpunk, dystopic futures and stuff like that. But it's really present day. It's more like a horror movie ish type of thing. The moment, you know what I mean, you read the graphic novels and you see basically what we're trying to do is like, you know what I mean, put like real life flushed out characters into, you know what I mean, different type of themes and stuff. Like you put them in a sci-fi world, which has the Lord of the Rings. We're just putting Shakespearean actors in this fantasy of Middle Earth. It's basically that, you know what I mean? I thought Peter Jackson did a great job on those movies, you know what I mean? And a lot of stuff from the early 2000s that we came up on, The Matrix, likewise, and you know what I mean? We're just putting what would be real life archetypes and people and, you know what I mean, people's notions in general, and you're putting them in this sci-fi environment that doesn't make them less of people. They're still people. You know what I mean? The thing is, what I learned, you know what I mean, when I had my art teacher teach me was, you know what I mean, the scenery, the environment, you know what I mean, those can always be exaggerated and, you know what I mean, more spectacular and more epic, you know what I mean? But what the real, when dealing with the subject matter of what's really going on, what you really need to focus on is the characters that encompass, you know what I mean, the environment that you're seeing. If they're not people that you can relate to, you know what I mean, if they're not flushed out and people can't relate to them, you know what I mean, it's gonna get lost in translation somewhere. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's gotta be organic in terms of, I don't think it's like a Star Wars thing that what you're seeing now, you know what I mean? Because I live in a part of the world that people are really, there's a lot of things still going on, even though we're living in 2024, you know what I mean? People still steal phones, you know what I mean? People are still living in poverty, you know what I mean? There's a lot of gang wars going on. There's a lot of juvenile delinquency going on in schools. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that's out of touch. A lot of people that are, you know what I mean, living in turmoil after the the pandemic. You know what I mean? The lockdowns. There's a lot of that shit going on, and the the overall thing that's going on right now is that a lot of people are still living in poverty. Man, I can atone to that. It's like, and people are out there. A lot of people soul searching, seeking God. And I mean, that's the one thing that has never changed. And I mean, from when I was a kid till now. And I mean, there are always people that are praying to God to help them to come out of whatever, you know what I mean, trials and tribulations that they're going through. In our religion, it's a big part of what goes on in real life. And I mean, people, and I mean, they sit in despair and still pray to God to help them to find a better way, because some of them, you know what I mean, some people, they're in problems which, you know what I mean, they don't know the way out. A lot of people are out there right now praying for a savior, you know what I mean, to come down and save them. A lot of people are praying that the world will end. A lot of people want retribution for, you know what I mean, they felt they've been wronged in life. Yeah, I mean, people are praying for a whole lot of shit. People are out there committing a whole lot of atrocities, saying the world is gonna end. And I mean, a lot of people fighting against Donald Trump. You know what I mean? And there ain't a lot of shit that has changed, man. Well, this is the girl that you probably saw on the poster. She's tweet. You know what I mean? She had green hair in the poster that I put up on Facebook. It's on my Facebook. If you're watching my YouTube channel and you have links to my Facebook, you can go into my pictures and you can see this one. You know what I mean? I did some of the tattoo designs on it, which probably are going to change by the time the final product comes out. You know what I mean? I'm still, you know, as you speak, I'm still going through and, you know what I mean, changing a lot of shit, tweaking, you know what I mean, a lot of stuff. Because apart from this, a lot of people don't know. One of my next side hustles that I do is that I have a tattoo. I do tattoos, you know what I mean, and I haven't done anything good of lately, seeing that people that come to me don't really have, you know what I mean, people nowadays, they just copy shit offline, and, you know what I mean, I try to talk them out of it. I try to tell them that, you know what I mean, they can come up with original concepts and original designs. But yeah, y'all get the drift. The thing about it is that this channel that I have now that's focusing on film and animation, I'm gonna do a next channel in the year 2025, and I'll be probably around my birthday. Yeah, I mean, you'll have updates. That it's gonna be like tattoos, and it's just gonna be about tattoos, man. Technically, you can never have enough channels. You know what I mean? It's gonna be about real life tattoo. We're gonna be diving into that, and I'm gonna be doing a lot of projects. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to that channel. Just I've been doing it for a good long time. Probably, if I was to say how long I was doing tattoo opposed to this, I've been doing this digital art, you know what I mean, traditional art, 3D architecture, all that stuff. I've been doing that for probably about 25 years now. I've been doing tattoos for like 14 years. I started in 2008 officially, you know what I mean, doing tattoos, but before that, you know what I mean, I was doing this, you know what I mean, everything digital and, you know what I mean, commercial stuff. But what I can say is that this model is basically a compilation, you know what I mean, of all the girls that I've ever talked to, you know what I mean, all the mistakes, and wrapped up in somewhat, you know what I mean, they were good, but, you know what I mean, they weren't the one. Yeah, if any of the girls that I used to talk to back in the day see this, just know that when the game comes out, you know what I mean, y'all ain't gonna get no loyalties, man, because this character isn't really, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a compilation of all of y'all. She's basically Z baby. She's a compilation, you know what I mean? She's all the tropes, all everything that's good about them, everything that's bad about them, man. That's all I can say right now. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna be like a cyberpunk space opera. Cyberpunk or space opera, technically. So it's gonna be wild. Black people in a horror movie that's cyberpunk. Yeah, there's white people as well. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's gonna be a mixture of everybody that's dying. Even the main character could die. You know what I mean? And come back like a Marvel character. So, whoa. And I think, you know what I mean? I've been doing a lot of talking, you know what I mean, on the emotional state of stuff that I did, and, you know what I mean, a few other pop culture, you know what I mean, franchises and success, you know what I mean, based off, you know, what came before, and, you know what I mean, where I plan to see myself going, you know what I mean, after a feel like this, basically. So, there's a lot of work to be done on here, you know what I mean. The dynamic is that it's gotta be a really relatable story, man. Because, you know what I mean, of recently, you know what I mean, I've seen like stuff on Netflix like Stranger Things. I've seen like season 1 to 4. I think season 5, the last and final season is supposed to come out later, this month or something like that. But I believe that, they captured the 80s, in a sense of how it looked, it wasn't exactly the essence of, well, the town that they're in is probably based off the Duffer Brothers, point of view in terms of, small town America. It's kind of Americana in a way, and it reminds me of some of the tropes, growing up in like a different country, there's similarities in like how our culture does things as well. Seeing that, I grew up in like a small rural town that's similar to that, but I don't think my thing is gonna reflect on kids growing up in like, a weird small town America where, man, you just have strange shit just happening. Kids get missing out. I can remember back in the 90s growing up. As I said, I was born in like the late 80s. Around to the end of the 80s, basically. Not like the mid 80s, like the late 80s. Not the late 80s, but like the late 80s. Just past the mid. Like, and I grew up in the 90s going to school, and back in the 90s, what I can say technically is that, I saw a lot of weird shit. I saw kids getting killed and kids getting kidnapped, raped. But the thing about it, oftentimes, is that it wasn't really an adult doing these things, man. It was like kids doing it for fucking kids, man. Like the shit that you see now with like them poor students, boy students, and like being that girl in the video, doing all types of shit. Man, that's the type of shit that used to happen when we used to go to school, because I went to a private school at first, and then like then in the 6th grade I went to a public school, and when you transition from private school to a public school, the thing that you find is that there's a lot less discipline in the public schools. The private schools are a lot more strict, and there are a lot more guidelines to follow. There's a quota to keep, You have to keep your grades at a certain point, You have to keep it at a certain grade average or you get kicked out. It doesn't matter about the tuition or whatever. And this now is like, I'm just going over some pictures for when I'm about to do the Falcon zebra skull. I think this movie has been surrounded by a lot of controversy online. A lot of people have been talking shit about this movie, about the reshoots, and excuse me, about how they think Anthony Mackie shouldn't have took on the mantle of Captain America. A lot of people are disappointed that the Captain America that they're seeing isn't Steve Rogers. But I'm just saying, it happened in the comics because, I was reading, I stopped reading Marvel comics in 2008, basically, and DC I overall mentally was out of it by 2008. You know what I mean? When Jim Lee came on back and he did the new 52, I think I read those comics for DC. But on the Marvel side, you know what I mean? I was mentally out of it by 2008. But I followed up the cinematic universe, you know what I mean? From the Iron Man movies, the Incredible Hulk that came out, all of those movies come straight up to present day. And I can say, you know what I mean, there was a point where, you know what I mean, he transitioned into Captain America, and I I don't think a lot of people are giving Sam Wilson, you know what I mean, the just deserve that he deserves because, you know what I mean, I think eventually, you know what I mean, he's gonna they're gonna bring back Chris Evans, and then they'll have the white boy back. So, you know what I mean? So, for all the people that, you know what I mean, probably aren't comfortable with the choice of Falcon transitioning to Captain America, you know what I mean, Sam Wilson, even though Sam has been a friend of Steve's, you know what I mean, for a long time. You know what I mean? He always used to go on missions and Steve in the comics. I think back in the 90s growing up, you know what I mean? Falcon has always, you know what I mean, been there on missions with Steve. You know what I mean? Back in the day, it was Buck. But when Buck came back, I think it was probably after Civil War, the Ed Bloomberg Baker stuff. Is that his name, Ed Bloomberg Baker? I recently got the CRBs, you know what I mean, because I didn't follow up the transition of what came after 2008, you know what I mean? But the Ed Bloomberger stuff, excuse me if I butcher his name, we show like the Winter Soldier stuff, so I'm like going over that. So when I go online, I try not to, you know what I mean, seem incorrect to anyone. But anyway, this what I'm showing you all. That's my personal comic, you know what I mean? It's an indie. This is like the latest entry that, you know, I did this year. I technically worked on it, you know what I mean? I'm showing bits of it. Um, it's I've been basically doing this graphic novel for almost over 2 decades. People are not familiar with it though, so it's what I'm doing corpse maker of. You know what I mean? The corpse maker saga, the kind of aura, the aura space opera that I'm working on. It's based off my graphic novel. You know what I mean? I draw my own stuff, so it's going to be a continuation of the graphic novel. Things that you know what I mean, that people are interested to dive into the world of, you know what I mean, what I'm doing. I mean, y'all can, you know what I mean, reach out to me on the YouTube channel. I'll probably send like, you know what I mean, stuff that I did because I'm going to be touching later down in this month to next year. I'm going to be touching on more stuff concerning my work on like my graphic novel. What is it really about? And you know what I mean? It doesn't fit into the niche of Marvel and DC. It would be more, if I was to describe it, it would be more indie, like like Image, or some of the other independent creators, like a Rippaverse, seeing that it was before Rippaverse, big ups goes out to Eric July. He's doing this stuff. I think after uploading my channel, I uploaded stuff off my channel that was saying all this. He probably came up with Rippaverse, but he didn't say that, or he's just doing his own thing off the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But that's like, he's doing great stuff. He's self-promoting himself on YouTube. But I think I've had a longer time to think about it, and what I really want to do, because I am the artist, the creator and the writer of my project that I'm putting out. So I'm gonna be going more in depth, drawing stuff, probably trying to get newer fans, newer people interested in the folklore. And I'm gonna release a book, basically an encyclopedia of what to expect, and a background of all the characters and everything in the Corpse Maker universe. And well, my thing is gonna be, it's gonna be backed by corporate people. I'm in talks with a lot of corporate people in my country, to take it to the next level. Kind of be that thing that bridges the gap between, commercial, commercial IPs, and that, what do you call it, that mainstream IP that everybody's crazy over. I don't expect for my thing to go international overnight, but from the reception that I've been seeing online is that, a lot more people are into the comic book cultures and new stuff coming out. So, what would be a better time than now to just kind of, get people familiar with the stuff that you're trying to sell. And I can stand by my product 100% and say people will not be bored. They will not fall out of, they will not fall out of interest with this, because really it's an open and closed arc. I think the last entry that I did will kind of close the arc on like the 2 decades of work that I put into it, like this graphic novel, technically. And as you can see, I'm using like the Corpse Maker poster, as a background on my PC. You can see the big old endless, see the dreams and nightmares. But this is not just like a city, it's an entire universe, which, people are gonna be intrigued. I wanted to bring like the flavor of, growing up in the 90s, how green it was, how realistic it was, 90s Jamaica, in space, interacting with all different cultures, basically, being, something that is not stereotypical, like, you would be coming from the islands of the Caribbean, so he has to be like a Rasta or something. You know what I mean? I don't want to affiliate you with that, even though you're going to have Rastafarians. You know what I mean? You're going to have, it's going to be a lot more conscious, you know what I mean, in terms of being realistic, meaning that it's not just dialogue that you won't be able to understand and mindless violence with senseless and gratuitous killings. It won't be that. It will be something meaningful to my culture, you know what I mean, to overall global, you know what I mean, global unity and, you know what I mean, at times wars and conflicts. It'll be something that's realistic enough that you won't need to be looking at it like, yo, yeah, this was something that was written by a real person, you know what I mean, a real individual, not some AI artificial intelligence. Yeah, I mean a real flushed out human being with, you know what I mean, real people, real community, and at times people that are out of touch, you know what I mean, with the reality that surrounds them. You know what I mean? I want to bring the sense of, you know what I mean, what we felt back in the day when you could go out and watch a Passenger 57, like bring it back to a Wesley Snipes song. You know what I mean? Other black actors like, you know what I mean, like Denzel, even people in my own country that have been in movies. You know what I mean? It's not like a Cool Running, because we're not like Cool Running. Cool Runnings was a movie that was based around the bobsled team that came out of Jamaica, but if you watch Cool Running, it does not represent who we really are as a people. Yeah, I think when white people write, you know what I mean, different cultures and black people, they oftentimes play into a um, the stereotypical idea of what they think is real. You know what I mean? They don't oftentimes touch on, you know what I mean, the individual person uh, as as opposed to, you know what I mean, the stereotype or the archetype of what that person is supposed to be. You know what I mean? I think it was highlighted in Crash when I watched that movie back in '06. You know what I mean? And the scene in Crash where Terrence Howard is like writing JJ and Tony Danza is like, oh, JJ is supposed to be stupid. Y'all get the point of what I'm trying to say. It's not, yeah, you oftentimes get people wrong, you know what I mean? Because I'm supposed to, you know what I mean, have a limited vocabulary and a limited understanding of what, you know what I mean, y'all are trying to say. But let me get into this. I enjoy, I just brought this up that they should make a HBO series of this shit. I don't know if this is still something that's in favor. You know what I mean? Eric Lawson did this thing. I don't believe that he's the only image creator that should get a HBO series, but I used to read this in the 90s. This, the Spawn, the Darkness, the Witchblade, you know what I mean? I used to read all those image guys. And I feel like The Walking Dead got something. I think this should get like something on HBO, like a live action adaptation or something. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna do, you know what I mean, a lot of stuff on, you know what I mean, what I think should get a live, a lot of things that I think should get a live action adaptation, you know what I mean, apart from the Penguin series, you know what I mean, because I've been seeing a lot of image stuff, man, that deserve that, you know what I mean. But anyways, you know what I mean, I'm about to start technically sculpting, you know what I mean, the new Captain America, aka Black America, Black um Black African America, as to what they say, not Captain America, Black African America. Anthony Mackie Scope, aka used to be Mr. Falcon. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I'm just gonna tune out and just need some music played. You know what I mean? This is gonna be in real time, so you know what I mean.